Well, there's some big news coming out of WWE today. Several WWE stars have been released. As of this recording, 9 people have been released. There could be more. So if there are more, we'll update this. We'll post a new update with the updated names that have been released. NXT releases are expected later today. But let's go over the releases today from the main roster so far. Mustafa Ali, Emma, Rick Boogs, Aliyah, Elias, Riddick Moss, Dolla, Shelton Benjamin, and Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler being probably the most surprising name on the list because he's been with the company for almost 2 decades. He signed in 2004. If you were a fan back then, you remember that he came up as, I believe it was first as a caddy for Kerwin White. That was a brief stint, and then he was also part of the Spirit Squad, which was a cheerleader group. The cheerleader group that was basically used to, for the most part, put over DX. And then some of the Spirit Squad were let go, and Dolph remained with the company. And he became one of the, solid workers of the company, one of the guys that, they would go to when they wanted to have someone do house show loops and get some experience and get better in the ring. They'd have him work with Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler got a run with the world title several years back when he cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase. He'd move up and down the card a few times, but for the most part, he was kept in the middle or the lower part of the card. He was never seen as one of the guys, as like a Cena or Roman Reigns or anything like that. He was always, or even a Seth Rollins, he was always seen as either a middle or lower card guy who was reliable and someone who they could turn to when they needed to help somebody else that needed some work in the ring. So his name is surprising. What do you guys think? Do you think AEW should sign him? His brother Nick is already there. Despite Dolph not being used as a top-tier guy, he could still go. I mean, if AEW signed him, you can imagine how, what a match would look like with him and, say, Kenny Omega. That'd be a huge, a dream match for some fans, I'd say. So we'll see. And we'll see what happens. Perhaps he can team with his brother or, maybe, who knows? But he seems like the most likely person to sign with AEW. I think AEW would have interest in him. Mustafa Ali is probably another guy that AEW might have interest in. His run has been frustrating for him. There was a pitch made allegedly by Vince McMahon. It was controversial that he objected to. There was at one point last year he was asking to be let go. And then things seemed to look better for him when Triple H came along, because Triple H has always been a fan of Ali. And then in recent months, he was moved down to NXT. And the feeling was that he'd eventually go back to the main roster and get a fresh start. But it looks like that's not going to happen. Emma was brought back last year under Triple H. She was paired with Riddick Moss, who is, I believe they're engaged or about to be married. I can't remember. But again, she was let go again. She was a Triple H hire. So you see some of these people are people that Vince didn't want, and he's making sure they're gone now. Rick Boogs, a guy that was discovered because Vince McMahon got a kick out of him in an Old Spice commercial. He's gone. Aliyah is also gone. She hasn't been used in many, many months. So that's not much of a surprise. There were kind of some tweets on social media. I'm not sure if they're still up, where she kind of hinted that she wasn't happy not being on TV and she was ready to come back. That's obviously not happening. Elias has not been used in several months. The last significant thing he did was where he was both playing his, quote, brother Ezekiel and Elias, and Kevin Owens was insistent on trying to let everyone know that they were the same person. I mentioned Riddick Moss, who people thought he had a lot of potential, and it seemed like they were maybe going to do something with him when he was paired with his girlfriend or fiance or wife Emma. Looks like that's not happening. Dolla released again. Another guy who, Vince McMahon wasn't a huge fan of apparently, and Triple H brought him back with Hit Row, and there were reports that Dolla rubbed some people the wrong way. Michael Cole on commentary would go out of his way to take jabs at him after he botched a move when he was knocked out of the ring a few months back. Michael Cole would rib him on that on commentary, and Hit Row has not been used well at all in many, many months. So this was not a surprise. Shelton Benjamin, things didn't look good for him when the Hurt Business was broken up last year. So he's also gone. So what do you guys think? Do you see any of these names going to Impact Wrestling or perhaps AEW or even New Japan Pro Wrestling? What are your thoughts? Did WWE make a mistake with any of these names? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Again, NXT releases are expected later today. We'll have another post up on here sometime this evening after those names are out. And again, this is all part of company budget cuts. Unfortunately, it's business. And we'll also post another video if more main roster talent get released. As always, subscribe to the channel. We have an interview up with Steve Fall interviewed Tiffany Stratton. She talked about Jade Cargill possibly headed to WWE and her thoughts on that. Charlotte Flair, who she wants to face, what her thoughts on people saying that Becky Lynch buried her, and a lot more. And so again, subscribe to this channel and comment under this video with your thoughts on today's releases.